a fire sale. And the calls are coming in. And we got to see if the Eagles are making one of those phone calls because the trade deadline is very interesting right now. We'll go over that. We'll go over specifics to this offense. Is it evolving? And one thing that I was actually very proud of and just doing something different. And if it works, just keep going with it. And we're going to be talking about Saquon Barkley. We're going to be talking about Jordan Davis. We're going to be talking about Reddick's contract. We didn't go over that news from a couple days ago. A lot going on, so let's get straight into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. I hope everyone is enjoying their Monday, Tuesday, wherever you are right now. I don't know when I'm uploading this, so I hope everyone's just enjoying themselves. But I got to say, man, I haven't felt this great in a while in recent weeks of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I feel really good. I think this is a game against the New York Giants, especially 2 wins straight. I feel like the defense is just getting better by the week. You haven't gave up a touchdown in a couple weeks, and the offense, you're hoping is going to evolve, and you're hoping that, Kellen Moore gets, not more control, but at least there is variety in this offense to give different looks to specific defenses every single week. And I think there's one thing I actually really did like from this game, and I think it was the Ben Van Sumeran as a fullback. I think that's been one of the most differences. I know they tried it a couple games ago. I think Tampa Bay, they had him as a fullback for a couple plays, but I really like how they're adding an extra blocker in here now. I think it's just going to work for Saquon Barkley so much. Saquon Barkley had, 3 34-plus yard runs. I mean, just absolutely insane. 170-something yards. I mean, yeah, the talent is just off the wall right now. But as a kick-out blocker, I like Ben Van Sumeran there. Ben Van Sumeran had a really good offseason with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm glad he made the team, but he really hasn't had the opportunity. Back in high school, he played a lot of different positions offensively and defensively. So they must think, and we already know this. I mean, he's an undrafted free agent from Michigan State. Ben Van Sumeran is an athletic freak of nature. We know he has it. It really just comes down to the terminology. Maybe he'll never get to play linebacker, but if they could fit him into this offense, I don't see why. I won't even mind them handing the ball off to him, as maybe a fullback dive or something like that. But because when you have a fullback in the game, it's going to create a lot of opportunities now where there could be misdirection. Because there's going to be way too many moving pieces in the backfield for the defenses to see, because Kenneth Gainwell obviously evolved from this, and Saquon Barkley had a good game because of this as well. Seemed like Ben Van Sumeran was just really hyped up just being in there and just getting playing time and being a part of it. That's a team player right there. So I really liked the different looks. Instead of just running a shotgun handoff, you're just doing so much more. Adding another blocker there is just great. And it helps tremendously. And I think the Eagles will continue to do this. We know this is not Nick. We know this is Kellen Moore. He did this a lot with the Chargers last year, from some of the tape that I did see. But the Eagles using a fullback has never happened. But having more variety for your offense and different looks. And yes, I mean, when Ben Van Sumeran comes in games now, other teams are going to see this and what plays they run. So Kellen Moore or Nick, they have to really they can't look predictable. When they start doing new things, they can't look predictable, and that's what you really have to watch out for when it comes to these plays. But it worked out really good. I know they've been testing this Ben Van Sumeran at fullback. They've been testing this the last couple weeks, but they did a great job here. Fantastic. And an extra blocker for Saquon Barkley or Kenneth Gainwell is a great thing, since I thought both of those guys, like I said, had a really good game, and it worked tremendously to their favor. So I like the variety there when it comes to having a fullback on the field. They might actually have a job for Ben Van Sumeran now. Maybe have a bigger role in this offense. So we'll see what happens with that. So news on the trade deadline front. Okay. The Cleveland Browns are dealing with, Deshaun Watson now out for the season, Achilles injury. It's horrible. That's already adding insult to injury, pretty much rubbing salt in the wound, might say. Where now you're figuring the Browns are going to try to, they got to pay Deshaun Watson. They're paying Deshaun Watson a lot of money, and they need some draft compensation. They might have somewhat of a fire sale. It hasn't been official that they're having a fire sale, but I could probably say that some of the older guys that are playing at a high level that could obviously they can get some good draft compensation for. And I think Myles Garrett is one of them. Now, apparently from Sports Illustrated, there's already been teams calling for Myles Garrett already. Could the Eagles be one of those teams? I think it's a big loss when you have Zach Bond on the line in a 5-man front. I know the Eagles like to do it. That leaves Nakobe Dean back there all by himself. But if they don't want to do this, then I think with a 4-man front, get a nice defensive, trade for a defensive end, get him in the rotation, and start wreaking some havoc on that defensive line a little bit more. I honestly liked how the defensive ends were. The Eagles got 8 sacks in this game. As much as I want Jalix Hunt to get more snaps, which I really think he should, he had that, he had that sack really when the backups were in to 8 sacks, which was great, but I want him to play a lot more. I thought Nolan Smith obviously had his best game with 2 sacks for the season now. Bryce Huff is starting to really come in with himself now with, being in the 4-point stance, having a really good get off now, explosiveness off the line. And, there was times where Bryce Huff necessarily didn't get the sack besides that one time, but there were times where he had a really good bend on the edge and he got his hand on Daniel Jones, which made room for someone else to make a play. So Bryce Huff, I'm hoping could keep up with this. But I think they should at least add somebody else. At least, if you want to just rent somebody for the year, do you want to go for a 34, 35-year-old in Von Miller that, I'm not really a big fan of it. I think they should just, if you're going to go get Von Miller, you might as well just put Jalix Hunt into the rotation to see what he could do, honestly, than getting a Von Miller. I have really no interest in that move at all. Max Crosby could be off the table. We'll see. But I think Myles Garrett is a prime candidate to be traded in season. He's only 28 years old. I mean, the Eagles could rent him for a couple years, maybe just the rest of this year. If Howie Roseman thinks, and this coaching staff thinks that this defensive line is going to be on a roll, and let me say this. Beginning of the season, okay, as much as I saw what they did in the offense, the offseason, the offense should be way above the ceiling right now, what they've been doing. They've had their one dominating game they've had really in the past couple seasons. Okay, so there was really no excuse going to this season and just not being explosive as they really haven't been. But you didn't have AJ Brown for a few games, then AJ Brown came back and the chemistry had to be worked up again. So, so there was some missing pieces the last few weeks. And I think the offense is slowly evolving and hopefully going to find our identity here really soon. I think we've already found it. It's just, are the Eagles going to stick with it? Are the Eagles going to go back to their bored old ways of calling this offense? But the defense, I knew it was going to have growing pains. New defensive coordinator, you're taking players out of position. You drafted 2 guys to the secondary. You had 2 guys that got hurt. One in Sidney Brown from last year in January with the ACL. And then DeJean missed all the time in the offseason program, missed a few games. So now that DeJean is finally settling in and really into his second game, you're getting some reinforcements back. Sidney Brown is back. He made a nice play, almost had a pick late in the game when they substitute everybody out, all the starters out. So I thought he had a nice play and a good play on special teams. So you're getting your reinforcements back, and it seems like the pass rush is getting better every week. Seems like there's more energy. A lot of new faces, a lot of young players. I get it. But the main question is, do they feel like coming off this Giants win with 8 sacks, do they feel like they're good? Or do you feel like, what, we need Zach Bond more? We need Zach Bond at linebacker. We can't have him at the line all the time. He's way too. And I think Zach Bond is obviously, depending on his injury, what's going on with the shoulder and stuff, that's going to be interesting. We'll kind of go on that later in the week. But it really depends on, I think Nakobe Dean had his best game. I think Zach Bond, had a really good game. But Zach Bond is probably your best coverage linebacker that you have right now. And do you want him at the line all the time? No. You want him in coverage as well because I think he's the best protege that Fangio has. And I don't know how they sought him out. And the player that he's becoming right now is fantastic. With other guys hopefully waiting to get opportunities, and Ben Van Sumeran is getting some snaps, like I said, at fullback, and then, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is just kind of waiting in the wings right now to get his opportunity too, which he might have an opportunity really soon. Then you go after a move like this for Myles Garrett. What is it going to cost you? It's going to cost you. I don't think the Browns are going to give him up for nothing. So the Eagles have to think long and hard, pause about this decision. And I think, the Browns, they're going to lose a lot more games. We all know this. Jameson Winston or whoever's going to take over at quarterback. Or Dorius Thompson. I forgot what other quarterback is there as of right now. But I think, we have to really think about it. Myles Garrett would probably be a little bit more realistic to me just because, the Eagles had practices with them last year. I think the coaching staff knows each other really well. Andrew Berry is actually the GM for the Browns that used to be the right-hand man of Howie Roseman, if you guys remember a few years ago. I don't know what year it was after he left. But I know Andrew Berry was like the right-hand man of Harry Roseman, one of the sidekicks to Harry Roseman that got a GM job, with the Browns. So there could be a good relationship there and try to maybe work out or try to get something done. I'd honestly do it. I don't see why not. I don't know if I'm giving up a first round pick. It's really tough unless you want to give up a second for next year, and we'll see what happens. But the compensation is the only thing that is to rent somebody for a high pick. I don't know. Maybe you try to pay him after this year. I have no idea because I don't know what his contract looks like after this year. Is he a free agent after this year or whatever? Still relative. He's in his prime right now. There's things that you could do. I know the Bryce Huff contract is really hurting right now, so maybe there is a loophole to kind of lower that or kind of move some money around. I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm wondering if the Eagles are looking into, the edge. Because honestly, what other positions are we looking at by the trade deadline? I'm hearing a lot of wide receiver. I don't know why. I'm hearing DeAndre Hopkins. I'm hearing a lot of weird names, and I don't know why there's a lot of receivers that are involved to come to Philadelphia. The Eagles already traded for one, and Jahan Dotson, which only had one target in this game, and I don't know. I think Jahan Dotson trade is one of the, I don't know, really bad trade right now as it looks right now. Not really giving him too much opportunity. They just really don't care about wide receiver threes. I don't know what the issue is there. But Myles Garrett just depends on what you give up and what his future is. Is he a rental, giving up a high pick? I don't think Howie Roseman wants to do that. I think if they want Myles Garrett, they're going to keep him in the room for a couple years or something like that. So we'll see what happens. Teams are calling. Are the Eagles one of those teams? And I guess we'll find out down the road. I slightly want to go over. I'm not really slightly. I think this is really a big one for Jordan Davis. Okay, now Jordan Davis. There's a few reasons for this. Jordan Davis had the lowest amount of snaps at defensive tackle. The lowest amount. I think that was at 12% or something like that. I forgot what it was. But not looking too great. Yeah, it was very low, very low. You had Jalen Carter at 79% of the snaps. You had Milton Williams at 47. Moro Jomo had double the reps than Jordan Davis did in this game against the Giants at 38%, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, Jordan Davis only had 21% of the snaps in this game. I don't know if they're phasing him out. Yeah, because, they know that he's not the best pass rusher this year. He's got one sack for the season, but I don't know. Hasn't really, I know he's going to command double teams. I'm not expecting him to have 10-plus sacks this year, but I think because the Eagles were in a big lead in this game versus the Giants, they want to put in more esque pass rushers. I think that's why they kind of lessen his snaps because of the situation. Because the Eagles are never in these situations where they have big leads. So they know Daniel Jones is going to throw. They're not going to run the ball that much. So they want to get more guys on the line that can give more of a heavy pass rush. So I kind of look at that whole situation saying, you know what? We'll see what happens, but not looking too good. So I think, Jordan Davis totally disappeared, and I guess that's the reason why. Getting that lead definitely helps, and you need more of a pass rush where Daniel Jones is going to panic. Any quarterback is going to try to panic and try to throw the ball a little bit more to try to catch up. They can't run the ball and waste clock. They got to get this thing going. Where the Giants didn't do nothing in the run game, they're averaging 2.2 yards a carry. It really wasn't much during that game at all. So, Jordan Davis, a lot on his shoulders right now, third year. Hasn't been fantastic. And guys are getting more snaps than he is right now because they're just better pass rushers, and I completely get it. So we'll see what happens at the B-time with the Jordan Davis situation going forward. Lastly, we need to go over Hassan Reddick. Okay, now, we all know he hired Drew Rosenhaus. The news came out the other day. I didn't talk about it because we were worried about other things the last few days. But we're talking about it because obviously he's not coming back to the Eagles, but he is doing a reworked contract with the Jets. And obviously all the fines that he had from missing OTAs and training camp in these games, he's going to be reimbursed. And he's back with the Jets at practice already. And the contract, from what it looks like, I'm guessing it's like $21 million. So he's gonna play out his contract, I guess, this year. Not fine him for all the missed time. They're gonna give him his money back for all the missed time, and then they're going to give him that new deal next year for what it looks like. I guess the Jets are in any position of winning right now. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe the Jets will trade him after this year. I'm not really sure. I mean, they might change their minds and say, instead of waiting, we'll use Reddick for this year, see if the Jets could turn their season around. And, so the Eagles have that third-round conditional. Now, if the Jets did trade Hassan Reddick to an NFC team, the Eagles would get a second-round pick automatically, but it looks like that's not going to happen right now. So if Reddick comes back, is there a chance that third-round conditional for 26 could turn to a second-round pick? Slim pickings. I think he needs to play like 68% of the snaps. He needs at least 10-plus sacks for the season. If he gets that, the Eagles will get that second-round pick at 26. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if he starts racking up sacks real quick, we're going to be kind of looking at this throughout the year and see what he's doing and how he's doing. And who knows? They might, if the Jets are having a bad year and Reddick is playing too good right now and they know that second-round pick is going to be given up, they might lessen his snaps in the game at the end of the year so that he doesn't hit that 10-plus sack, season. Reddick's been very consistent with that. So we'll see what happens with the Reddick situation. The only reason why I'm covering this is because there was opportunity for him to come back, maybe, but that's not the case. That's not going to happen. But I think what's really important is that third-round conditional for 26 turned to a second-rounder. We'll see if that happens. So I will update you guys on the Reddick situation throughout the week. He should be playing in the game next week. He's already practiced with the Jets on Monday or Tuesday. He's already in the building already, from what I heard. So that situation is at a whole nother thing right now, and that's where we're at. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about the Myles Garrett situation, and would you guys pull the trigger on it? And, are you renting a guy like this, giving up a high pick? Or are you trying to give this guy an extension, to join this defensive line? Or do you think the Eagles should just build off of these last two games between the Browns and the Giants and coming off an 8-sack game? And, do you think that Zach Bond is being wasted in a 5-man front at the line? Do you think they need him more in coverage? And I think you need a lot more Zach Bond sitting back. And I absolutely get it. I get it 100%. I don't think the Eagles will produce like that every single game, but you never know what could happen. This defense is growing by the week. I think this defense it just took a lot of time. I think we're getting some reinforcements back. You're going to have James Bradbury back, whatever they're going to do with that in the next couple of weeks. Bradbury's going to come back. What are they going to do with him? DeJean is settled within 2 games. Sidney Brown is finally back, and I know they want to try to get him into a game sooner or later because he is a starting caliber safety, in my opinion. So maybe they work him in 3 safety sets or something like that. I don't know, but it's going to be really interesting what happens. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Make sure you like the video. Helps out the channel tremendously. I will see you guys on the next one. Shakes it up, false light. Peace out, guys. Peace.